Welcome back to another weekend on the Smallholding, and last time you saw us finishing off with making the blackcurrant syrup, which is very happily sitting on the shelf, where I keep saying to people, don't forget to use what we've got before we start the next amount of stuff. And I'm very pleased to report back that we have some empty jars of homemade stuff. We had a lot of things lurking on the top shelf of the fridge that were kind of half used, and then people went off onto something else. But we've clamped down and said, make sure we get finished everything. There's one or two jars that have been open since. The thing that's been going down the best is the apple chutney that we made last autumn in the slow cooker. That's gone down fantastically. But also, believe it or not, for you courgette and relish haters, you know who you are, this stuff was put on the shelf in 2021. I'm not advocating that you use old things off the shelves, but we were quite happy to, knowing what's in here. And Stephen has been taking it for his lunch every single day, along with some of the game meatloaf that we made. And he's telling me he really enjoyed it, and when it got missed out of his lunch one day because he forgot to take it, he was really disappointed. So there you go. So we're starting off with empty jars, which is just a sign of us being able to use what we're making here on the Smallholding, provisioning for ourselves, and doing what we say we're going to do with using what we've got before we move on to something else. Speaking of which, we've got some interesting things to be harvested in the garden, so we're going to go over there and get those harvested now.
Right, we're just on our way to harvest some stuff out of the garden, but we thought we'd come round and check on our egg production, because we've had these in here now for 2 days. 4 of them did escape the first night. Over there you can see where they all are. There's a mesh up against the actual Harris fencing mesh, because one of these things had snapped off on the bottom and they'd found it, and 4 of them had escaped. So we've rounded them back up. They've back in. They've only been in here 2 days, so see what the result is of that. Well, that's a bonus. I didn't expect that. So like I said, they've only been in 2 days, so obviously the rogue ones have got nowhere else to go, so they're actually laying where they're supposed to be laying. So there's 7 nice coloured eggs, all ready to go on the shelf, nice and clean, for us to munch on in the few days coming. Right, we've just come into the barn to collect the rest of the eggs and take stock on our egg production. So the ones we separated off, the rogue chickens, they're doing great. We've got all them eggs off them, and they'll probably keep doing that going forward. The Welsumers, these are the Welsumer eggs. We've got 3 of them, so we've had 3 today. So they're going to be kept separate to go in the incubator, and we're going to breed Welsumer eggs for the egg production moving forward. Unfortunately, the Rhode Island Reds are not paying their way, so we've got about 12 in there, I think, and we've only got 2 off them. So we have been talking, and we're going to start to filter them out. We did start breeding them for meat and eggs, and they're just not cutting it really. So we're going to go down the meat bird route. We buy chicks in, we raise them here as we do our egg layers, and that's how we're going to supply ourselves with chicken going forward. But for egg production, I think we're going to stick to the Welsumers for the time being.
Well, this morning Stephen's been at work and I've been doing a bit of a gardening video, and then we thought we were going to get rained off, which was hilarious because it didn't happen. There was about 6 spots of rain, and I ended up doing something else. But we're back out to the garden now, because one of the most important things that I want to do today is finally harvest this absolute beauty. If you want to come round and have a look at it, I'm not sure if you can see the head of it from that side. This is the biggest, most perfect Savoy cabbage that I have ever grown, like ever. So I can't wait to see how much it weighs. Not that it's all about having the biggest cabbage and then, you know, are you going to actually use it all, etc. But I am going to show you.
Thought you were going to say something about me being the biggest.
I was, but I'm not going to say that. I've never grown one this big before, so we're going to get it weighed just for my understanding as to how much it weighs, and then we'll share that with you. There's also this variety here. It's not a Savoy variety, but this one is done absolutely fantastic as well. So we're going to get that harvested. So there's only 2 things left in this bed. As I say, this was full this morning of other bits and pieces being weeded. And then there's 2 smaller ones in the bed to the right of Stephen as well. We're going to get those harvested. All of the leaves that we're not going to use ourselves will end up going down to the pigs straight from the garden. But Stephen's going to have a look at something that's behind him, because he's going to help me harvest those as well.
The next bed we're going to get onto is this one. We're going to get all these brown onions harvested. It's 3/4 of the bed brown onions. There's still some red onions here at the back, but they're not ready yet. So we're going to clear all these brown onions out, get the curing process started, and untangle all these beans which are all grown off there, get them back on the trellis, get it all weeded and ready for the winter and autumn crops.
And then next up, we're going to get this absolutely massive cauliflower harvested. It is going to blow over the next couple of days if we don't get to it now. So I'm so thrilled with this one as well. It's absolute beauty. So we'll get that harvested. We'll just go into the freezer, same as the cabbage actually, if we don't get that used straight away. And then these plants here, there's 1 or 2 pieces of broccoli left that we will use, stem broccoli. The rest of these, we're going to whip them all out and give them to the pigs. There's 1 cauliflower if you want to see what one actually looks like when it's blown. I mean, you can see the dryness has just been ridiculous. That's starting to flower, so they will shoot up and produce flowers like what you can see on these broccoli, on the stem broccoli. That is still perfectly usable in the kitchen. There's no reason at all to get rid of that. However, the pigs will get all of the outside leaves, which incidentally are edible for us as well, but we've got much more than we need here, and we don't just grow for us, we grow for the animals as well. Along here, I've got cabbages which have started to be completely eaten, and that's literally happened over this week. They certainly weren't like that when we were looking at them earlier, so I'm not too sure what's going to happen there. But we've also got 2 more smaller cauliflowers with different variety to that monstrosity, and these guys are ready to harvest as well. So we'll take those in, and then that'll free up at least 2 beds, which are the 2 with the cabbages in that I showed you first. And the bottom end of this bed, and like Stephen said, we can then get on with the autumn and winter sowings, which will be producing crops this year, but also take us through into the spring of next year. So I'll show you what those are when we get to them. And then next up, final harvest for today, I think, will be something that's in this bed.
Right, so after we've got the cauliflower, the cabbage and the onions, we're going to come onto the potato bed. So we're just going to harvest whatever potatoes we need for the meals going forward for next week. So we'll probably only take 3 or 4 plants out, see what we get off them. If we don't get enough, we'll move a bit further down, but the whole bed has got potatoes in, and today we'll only probably take a quarter of it, if that. So as you can see where the gaps are, Tracy's already been harvesting them and taking whatever we need. So like I say, we're just going to get enough up to see us forward for the next week. As you can see, there's quite a few on there. That's a good one. Good.
Lovely, small, delicate new potatoes. I think, how many weeks is this going to last us, Steve? What did you say?
Do us a couple of weeks, won't it?
Yeah.
Just with that potato.
I think I said the potatoes were our last harvest, but that's not going to be true. We've actually got some lovely courgettes that are ready. Some of them are obviously trying to be marrows because that's just what courgettes are very good at. And I've actually got a marrow plant to the right of Stephen that has got some genuine marrows on it. So we're going to leave those because I've got some plans for stuffed marrows later on in a few weeks. But yeah, we'll grab some of these courgettes. The absolutely ginormous ones will be pig food, but again, that's part of what we're growing them for. You can see how dry it is, the dust that's coming off it when you're raking. I've never known it.
Right, well, like you see, we've left the red onions. We've just finished up with our first mini harvest of the year. We've got these 3 beds all raked and weeded and ready for the next sowings. But as you can see, it's like a bloody dust bowl. There's no moisture in the ground whatsoever. So we're going to try at some point getting to the bottom of our muck heaps and getting the older stuff, maybe spread a layer on, give them a good water. So we're going to take you over and show you our results of the mini harvest. But first, we've got this big pile of leaves off the 2 cabbages that were in this bed and the 2 that were in this bed. These are all going for the pigs, and the oversized courgettes be a treat for the pigs, for them as well. So we're going to take them down first, give them to the pigs, and then we'll show you the results of our mini harvest.
I bet if you give, they'll love the courgette with all the moisture in it. Well, saying that, is there no moisture in it?
Oh yeah, it's nice and juicy inside. There you go, pigs. Check that out. Here. 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 No, not interested.
They've got one between the two of them. All that to choose from, and they both go for the same one.
We're getting right stuck into that courgette. Well, there's a nice treat for them for the next hour or so, keep them busy. If it'll last them an hour, I don't know if it will. They're making short work of that.
It's always nice to be able to provide the food straight from the garden, even though it's not all year round for the pigs. It's really nice to be able to see them enjoying it. Probably more than the kids do, to be fair.
Right, so while they're in the busy, just thought I'd come in and give them a bit of a check over size-wise. We've never raised this particular breed before. These are Pitran or Poultry, however you say it. But we have had these crossed with the Gloucestershire Old Spot, which we had our first batch of pigs were, and the meat was great. And these are supposed to be super lean, and they're raised for the hams. And as you can see on the size of that, the back of the leg there, to me, looks ready. So normally we send our pigs off September, October time, but I think these are going to be a lot sooner, which is bad news for them, but good news for us, as our pork supply in the freezer is completely demolished. So we only had one pig last year because one of them did unfortunately come down with an illness, and that one didn't go in the freezer, so that's why we're short on pork. So yeah, I'm thinking by the looking at this one and this one, I wouldn't have said they're far off. So what I'll have to do, I'll have to get my tape measure, bring it down, we'll measure them, which will give us a rough weight. It's worked out pretty much spot on in the past, so we'll do that. And I don't think this one here will be far off. Maybe it's 2 weeks, 4 maximum, I would say.
Let's agree, end of August. We're on holiday at the end of August together, and we can do it together, and it'll be much less stressful for everybody then.
Is
at
that
the
right?
earliest. Yeah. Can we all agree, everybody? Pop it in the comments if you agree.
We'll go by size.
I know, we've got practical and emotional. They are loving that, aren't they? Absolutely loving it.
Good pig. Oh, good pig.
They say that, is it double muscle on this breed, I think is the phrase that I've seen, which is why they've got this such pronounced, like, bump, bump, bump back ends.
Yeah, it's just pure meat there.
Yeah.
On the back,
So,
here on the top.
I know when I was researching about them, some people said that they're too lean, because you like a bit of fat on the meat,
Yeah.
don't you?
But it won't matter
many
much.
don't.
Won't matter so much for these because all our hams are going in for that ham, so all the back legs will be going in for hams. And I think the first lot of loins and bellies will be going in for bacon, so it doesn't really matter about that as either. And the shoulders, like I say, will probably be going into sausage and mince, which we use the most of.
Yeah.
So
Very
for the first
practical,
pig,
very practical, isn't it, on that decision?
yeah. So the first pig doesn't really matter fat to meat ratio as long as we get the meat.
And hams, you mentioned, we've not done hams for absolutely ages just because we've never had enough, have we?
No.
So it'll be absolutely brilliant too. The kids love ham.
Yeah, sorry pig, we're talking about you like that. We're sorry pig.
So yeah, that'll be from a cookery point of view, butchery point of view. I'm looking forward to the hams. I know it sounds mean talking about it here, doesn't it?
But the size of the back of the neck, you're going to have a lot of fat there, so that'll go into it. Oh, I'm sorry pig. I'm sorry pig. I'm sorry pig.
They'll get based. They'll jump on you.
Right. Let's go and get that harvest sorted.
And I'll quickly say we're still planning on getting 2 to keep over winter. Look at the smile. You can tell Stephen's having second thoughts.
We'll see.
Yeah. Come on then. While the what's the word?
Occupied.
Distracted. That's one out. I have to say I'm pretty pleased with this harvest. I always look forward to the day, well, when we get the onions, and harvesting potatoes never gets old, even though these are supposed to be first earlies, which are questionable. Never ever gets old. It's like digging for treasure. So starting off, these are the potatoes, which I can imagine some people who have never grown potatoes before will be looking thinking, what on earth is that disgusting thing on them? It's called scab, and it's a result of it being so dry basically, so it's nothing to worry about. You just need to, it would be nice to eat these without having to peel them, but you are going to need to peel the scab off before you eat them. It's as simple as that, before you cook them. It's not a problem at all. We've been having these already, as I say, and I fully expected that to happen. We've got the last of the stem broccoli, so I picked those off before we are going to hand those plants over to the pigs. They haven't gone down yet, but they will soon. The eggs that we showed you from the chickens, which we're hoping will continue to increase in quantity. Some courgettes of various sizes, so there's a couple of nice small tender ones there, and then 2 that are getting slightly bigger. What I'll have to do is maybe scrape some of the seeds out of those, we'll see as we get into them. The others have gone to the pigs that you've just seen us feeding. And then this absolute monster of a Savoy cabbage, which some of the outer leaves, fair enough, won't get eaten. We've obviously left some on the plant that have already gone to the pigs, so it would have weighed even more. But the mostly edible bits that we've got up here, I think it was 3.9 kilos that it came to, which is what a weight, what an amount of weight. And then we've got the cauliflowers. Again, they might not look the prettiest, some of them, but they're all completely edible and will all get used, so no concerns there. If I wanted to keep them for longer than sort of 3 months, I would blanch them and freeze them, but these guys will just get chopped and frozen after they've been washed, and then I'll just use them straight into whatever it is we're eating, because it'll be hot cooked food. It won't be sort of a raw cauliflower or anything like that, something that I want to look presentable. We're going to weigh this cabbage in just a moment as well. This one is actually, might weigh more than the other one, so we shall see. But that's ideal for the likes of coleslaws and things like that. And there's another couple of small ones that we're going to use first, just grated with some carrot, maybe some apple, something like that, some onion, and just to do a summer coleslaw while the summer is still here. The onion harvest, so these will need to cure, and I'm quite happy once this wind passes leaving them outside to cure out here, because we are not due significant rain at all, or even any rain. There's a slight chance overnight tonight, but we shall see. I'm not too worried about that. They just need to essentially to dry, so what I normally do is hang them upside down so that the moisture comes out of them rather than sitting in the neck and rotting, and then hopefully they will be absolutely fine and they will keep nice and well through the winter and be our sole source of onions moving forward, except for the shallots, which I harvested this morning while Stephen was at work. There is a full basket full of shallots here, which I'm absolutely thrilled about, so they will be getting used in more winter type foods. It's the first time I've ever successfully grown shallots that I've been able to harvest to use. We've grown them before and then harvested them and they were just terrible, so we didn't use them, but these are looking fantastic, and I think you just treat them the same as onions to dry out and use them, so I will double check on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what you need to do. Anyway, that's the harvest. I'm thrilled to bits with it. Even Stephen is thrilled, and as we know, it takes a lot to get Stephen thrilled, but no, all jokes aside, absolutely chuffed to bits. So I've just popped that on. It only wanted to face this way, it didn't want to face the camera, it's camera shy. 3.3 I think Stephen said, so that is now the second contender. Should we weigh the cauliflower just for fun? We weren't going to do that, but let's do that. I'm not sure if it'll want to stay. It might play, if I put it upside down, might be easier. What's that? That feels heavier actually.
2.7.
Really?
Yeah.
Really, as if I'm disappointed. 2.7 kilos. Oh my goodness. Welcome back to a late start for a Sunday, and I'm going to tell you all about that in just a moment. But Stephen and I are out here because we're going to be processing our last lot of this batch of meat birds. Now, somebody did ask us specifically if we could give heads up. We don't need to give a heads up today for anything to come in that people might not want to see or hear about. Stephen is going to talk to you about the boiler that we use and the plucker that we use, and that's it. He's not going to go into any detail about anything else, so don't worry, no warnings for today's video. But we are going to get on with that, and we will show you the end result of what it looks like. But a later start for Monday morning, a Sunday morning, because this morning we got up and unfortunately we've had a bit of bad news. First, from the outset, Annie is fine, but she's woke up this morning and we thought that she had had a stroke. For those that don't know, Annie is our beautiful bull mastiff. She is coming up 9 years old this year, and so we naturally had her straight down to the vets. Thankfully, Grace is working today, which is much of a comfort for me. And essentially, she has got a full paralysis of the right hand side of her face. And naturally I thought that was what the stroke was, but anyway, the vets have said it isn't. To cut a long story short, we're just going to see how she goes, because it could be one thing, it could be something else, and until we know, there's no point in worrying about anything. We're going to continue doing what we do and just making every day as comfortable as possible for her, but keeping an eye on her and her happiness, her behaviour ultimately, because that's the big one. So that's the first thing, and we're going to get all the sadness out of the way at once, because the other sad news is that the lamb that we had, so yes, we have lambs that we process for the freezer every year, so ultimately they end up in the same place. And I know some people question why we care if something happens to one of our lambs. Well, we care because it happens on the terms that we don't want. We never want anything to be in pain and lost that way, rather than doing things the most humanely and where the animals just don't even know it's coming. And when things go down the other route where things are in pain, that's what obviously is really upsetting for the animal, but also for us as well. And unfortunately, our little lamb that we were asked to look after, because he was never going to thrive essentially, and there's always questions around, well, should you ever try and take a lamb on that's not going to thrive? Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. The other morning he couldn't get up, he couldn't even stand up. The night before, absolutely fine. The next morning he couldn't even stand up. I had noticed that he wasn't thriving as much as the others or anything like that, and so I immediately messaged Stephen and said, unfortunately you're going to need to come and pop this lamb out of his misery, because we would not be good, nice human beings to allow him to continue like this. And Stephen, being Stephen, didn't even question my view on that, because he knows I would not be asking for that unless it was the right thing to do. And so within the space of 30 minutes that process was done. So unfortunately he's not with us anymore, but it was the right thing to do. So we've got the 5 healthy, happy lambs. They're all absolutely fine, thank goodness, but we did expect that was going to happen with this lamb. So anyway, that's the sad news out of the way. So we're going to crack on with our morning now, and then we will catch up with you doing goodness knows what else we're going to be getting on with, and let's see what this week brings. Hopefully, touch wood, nothing major.
Right, so like Tracy said, we're not going to talk about or show you any of the processing that we're doing today. We did that on the last video, but we got a couple of questions on what equipment we use. So I'll just run through both the pieces of equipment that we use. It's just a Signet boiler or T-urn. It's a 30 litre boiler. It's got 5 settings. You can take it up to boiling point or whatever temperature you like. And then a 24 finger plucker, which is a Novital Estrala or Esterina. So we picked these up off Marketplace about 7 or 8 years ago, and we had another few bits of items chucked in. I think it cost us 50 quid for these and another few bits and pieces. So yeah, that's it. Pretty safe, pretty simple, pretty basic. That's all we use. Right, well, we've made a decision on our egg laying production for the future. So we're going to put in the incubator our Welsmers, which are these darker brown ones here on the right. We've got 14 of them because they're prolific layers. Also, the 6 that we put in our cage bit that we've just made, we're getting 1 a day off each of them. So we've just collected up them, made up the numbers. We've got 30 eggs here. There's some odds and sods that we've threw in, but we like a different coloured egg just to make things a little bit different. So we're going to put these 30 eggs in now, and hopefully in 3 weeks we'll have an array of chicks to choose from, and hopefully we'll get more hens than we do cockerels. But we'll get these in 3 weeks time, we'll hopefully be up and running with our egg production. Right, so as you can see, we've got a lovely array of colours there, which hopefully will be passed on through the genes to the new hens, which will also give us a nice selection of colour when they get up to laying age. The good thing about the Welsummer eggs is you can sex them from day old, so you can tell the females from the males as soon as they're born, which is a good thing, so we'll know what we're getting there. The other ones, it's a bit of a pick and mix, so we'll just see what we get.
Monday morning, back at it, a brand new week. Just doing the pig's water, and it is a lot breezier, sorry, a lot cooler in the breeze this morning than it was last week. We are still due really high temperatures for the week, but the mornings, well, so far are cooling off. I was only out here recently and it was really, really warm still on a morning. The nights weren't dropping down at all. So we're feeling a difference, and you can maybe hear the wind is still with us today. The weekend was absolutely ridiculously windy. I'm not going to risk leaving this while the hose pipe's in. It's nice to be able to just leave it fill up while I go and turn it off, but they do have a tendency to play with the hose pipe, so one, it doesn't get filled, and two, they end up chewing a hole in it and probably ending up swallowing something. They have this amazing ability to go to the toilet and drink at the same time, pigs, and it's very common. Fun fact.
Right, well, it's Wednesday night, and on Sunday we finished processing the second batch of our meat birds. So we've got 14 in total. We did 6 2 weeks ago, and then we did 8 on Sunday. And these ones turned out absolutely fantastic. The smallest one of these was 3.3, and as you can see, the biggest one there was 3.7 kilos. So while I get on and butcher these, here's just a quick reminder of what we got off our first batch. Right, so there's our results of our first little chicken harvest. So that was 6 chickens, just over 10 weeks old. We're going to keep one as a whole. We're going to have that for dinner on Wednesday, but it'll see us a couple of days, or maybe even 3 for like cold chicken afterwards. And then we're going to have some for tea tonight. Tracy's going to deal with the bones and the carcasses for stock. She's going to deal with that tomorrow. But for now, we're going to keep some back for tea tonight and get the rest bagged up and ready for the freezer. So this will easy see us for the next few weeks while the other ones are putting the weight on, and then we'll harvest them ones in the next 3 or 4 weeks. Right, well, I know I said on that last video we were going to leave them 3 or 4 weeks, and it's been exactly 2 since we've done them. 2 reasons. 1, they were just piling on the size and they look really big and they look really healthy. And 2, we were running out of a bag of food. So rather than buy another bag and add to the cost of raising them, which I'm going to get onto in a minute, I just thought we'd get them done and that'd keep the cost down. So we've done a few things a little bit different with these ones. We took all the inner fillets out of the breasts, which has given us a nice big pile of pure breast meat there, and we've also trimmed up all the carcasses. We normally leave that on, then boil the carcasses for stock and then pick that off afterwards, but I've trimmed all the meat off, which has given us about 1.5 kilos of meat, which is going to go into meatloaf. And like I said, they were putting on some size. I mean, these breasts, that one with the inner fillet out is, what is it, 600 grams?
550.
550. So you're talking over 500 grams of breast, and the thighs are massive. You're talking over 300 grams of thigh meat for them. So super pleased with how they've came out. Couldn't have wished for better. None of them scalded when we were boiling them and plucking them. So it's worked out absolutely fantastic. So we did get a few comments on the last video when we did our chickens saying raising your own food is expensive. So I just did a quick add up total of what it cost us to raise a bird here with the feed and everything. So I had a quick look on Aldi prices, and their charge for a large chicken £2.54 kilo, and for their free range, which I would class ours as, I won't go down the organic route because we don't feed them organic food, but them prices are just unbelievable. So for a free range per kilo, it's £5.25 a kilo. So these cost us £6.50 a bird to raise up to this weight, table weight. So going on Aldi prices for free range, it would have cost us between £17 and £19.50 to raise our own bird if I'd have bought it from Aldi at 3.7 kilos. It's cost us £6.50. So it might seem expensive. Yes, you're not going to just pick it up from a supermarket, it's already done. There is a bit more work involved with cleaning them out, giving them water, and then processing it all at the end. Pure monetary cost, it's just £6.50 compared to, like I said, between £17 and £19.50. So it's a no-brainer for us. We don't mind doing the work, we don't mind looking after them. So cost is irrelevant, but it's much cheaper than buying it from the supermarket. So we're going to get all these bagged up, all backpacked, and then in the freezers until we get round to demolishing it all.
Well, it's Saturday again. I'm taking a little bit of a break in the week, so I've got my microphone on just to give you an update of what we're getting on with this weekend. Today is going to be a day full of just getting on and working. We've got cloud covering the intense heat that's coming through when it's not cloudy, and it's absolutely lovely working in it when it is cloudy. So we're going to do the best we can before maybe later on this afternoon it gets too hot to work, but we shall see. Tomorrow's going to be hotter than today, so that's why we've been organising things as we have. I'm working in this area that you can see behind me, so let me give you a really quick overview of what's going on here, because essentially it's tidying up what's died in this extreme sort of drought heat that we've been having. Right, let's start here with this rosemary bush. Right, the reason we're starting here is I've just cleared this of apple mint that was completely invasive. I have no idea how the apple mint got here, except that it might have come with the bush from its previous location. So obviously this is rosemary for people that maybe aren't familiar with it, and it's the bit that is growing is really, really healthy and looking fantastic. So half of it appears to be dead. That is really, really tough to chop with the snippers, and I don't want to break the snippers. So I'm going to get that done separately, because what I've done is taken everything else from around it, and then I'm going to harvest as much as I can to take us through this winter, and I'm hoping next winter as well. Use a lot of rosemary, and the reason I'm trying to do sort of 2 winters is because I'm going to then take this right down, meaning that next year it might just not grow. And what I'll do is when we take some, instead of just drying it, because we'll dry it and store it in jars, I'm going to try and root some, so that if it doesn't come back next year, hopefully we'll have a different healthy plant from this, because this variety has been fantastic. I didn't even know when we started smallholding that you could get more than one variety of rosemary, but you can, and this one, whatever it is my favourite. Now, alongside the rosemary, this bed here had radish and calendula in. It's literally suffered like everything else in the heat. No matter what you water, you can see it's just complete dust. So we're going to get that replanted with everything that's autumn, winter type of sowings. But before we do that, let's have a little look at these. These are discovery apples, which are eating apples. A couple of them have been attacked, presumably from birds, and they will go directly to the pigs. But oh my goodness, these are absolute beauties. Now, before the wasps get to them, because that's normally what happens, we're going to harvest these, and I'm really pleased because these don't seem to have suffered as much as the other trees. Oh, blooming heck. So even where we've got something like that, we can still chop that off and eat the rest of it. But they don't seem to have suffered as much as the other trees with something like, can I get an example? Can't see one of these. These haven't grown too well, but some of them have got some, and of course I can't spot one now that I'm trying to show you. Here we go. This is the perfect example. Obviously it's been chomped into by something, but they seem to have just become burnt. There's quite a few, especially on the other side, that have just become burnt in the sun, and I'm guessing that's what it is. However, these apples seem to have fared a lot better than some of the others, so we'll get those harvested, and that is a cracking harvest. These will last for quite a long time. There's a few down here as well next to the one that's been chomped, and if we don't get them, something else will, guaranteed. So today we're going to be sowing this bed, and next to the beetroot. The beetroot's been in for a few months now, and there's some really good sizes, but there's also some that you can see are starting to bolt, so again they'll go to the pigs. But there's some that are good sizes, so I think what I'll do is get those harvested for this week. Beetroot lasts fantastically as well, and then at least we can get those eaten, and then we'll get this bed resown again for winter too. This bed was a herb bed, but they're competing with the weeds in the dry weather. Even some of the weeds have been given up. All of this here needs taken down. That's lovage as well, and then that'll tidy this area up. So not hard work, and it'll look fantastic. Make a big difference once it's done, and then this whole area will look a lot better. These trees here are very young, so we haven't actually had anything. I thought we would this year because the quince looked fantastic, the blossom, but haven't actually had anything off there. However, we have had, where is it? Look, our first ever mulberry. Not too sure that they're supposed to look like that. There's a few on here, maybe 5 or 6, but they seem to be absolutely covered in green fly. So I'll do a bit of research into that, because we've never had fruit on it before. That's just because of it being so young. Not a single plum has ripened yet on this plum tree. There's about, I think there's about 5 in total. And then there's also this bed here, which I've just taken the last of the lettuce out of, which will get resown again with all of the winter type things. And the other thing that we're going to do is get the bags on the pears, for the pears that we're going to hopefully keep to harvest, because there's quite a few. But then also this tree, we always forget to prune the cherry tree. So that's another thing for this weekend, ideally today. And if you don't know, we didn't get a single cherry because the blooming birds came and took them all and just left the pips for us. Starlings, that was. Now, just to give you a sort of a sense of height, I mean, I can stand next to it. I would say that is 20 foot, the cherry tree. And you can't walk around it easily. So what we're going to do is take all of the low branches off that are stopping us from being able to walk around it. But Stephen was saying for taking the top off. Now, I'm hoping that that's not going to kill it, because it will be the most severe prune it's ever had. It's not even probably classed as a prune, complete barbaric chopping of it, but we'll see. It's just getting far too big, so we definitely need to cut it back quite harshly. That might mean that we don't get anything next year, but it needs to be done because it really is in the way. And the same for the pear tree in the winter. That's taken over quite a bit. It is prolific, so both of them are, to be fair, as is this pear tree over here. Not quite as prolific as the one on the left.
Too much? Right, well, I think we've took off all we dare. It said no more than really 30% in the first year, so the pile over there looks about 30%. So we're going to leave it as that. Obviously, we don't have a clue what we could do when it comes to pruning, but we've done a bit of research, done what we think it said. We're probably never going to get a net over it anyway, the size of it is, so we'll just have to beat the birds to it next year. That's if it survives till next year.
We were going to take even more off because all the crossover, but then we'd literally have took like 70% off, wouldn't we? So
I think we took more than 30% off as it is, so we better just leave it as.
Definitely.
Take another 30% off next year if that works.
This sucker has been growing for a few years now, and every year we walk past it and just think, oh, we must get to that. And now it's got to the stage where it's suddenly huge. And so rather than disrupt too much underneath the barn, which is done enough by the rodents or whatever we have underneath there, Steve's just going to whip that out now, and then we're going to get to the other cherry tree and take a look at the damson tree, which we've got about 4 damsons on.
Drag that out, see where we're at.
The idea for this one is we're going to be coming down the side of the barn and trying to get around here. So obviously these nettles and things need to go, but you can't get past some of these trees. And this damson tree has not produced well for a long time. So we're just trying to take off one of the main branches rather than lots of piddly little cuts.
Right, well, as you can see, we've just took that thick branch off there, which was overhanging the path, and it is starting to rot from the inside. So as you look on the inside here, all these branches are really dry and brittle and dying. But the trees are just all grown into one another, so we don't know what to do for the best. So we might just wait for a few comments, maybe take all these definitely dead bits off, maybe see what you guys who know more than us in the comments give us a bit of guidance, a bit of suggestions. So I think we'll just get
The worst of it off.
so I think we'll just get the worst of the definitely dead bits off, which we know, and then just wait for you guys to put us in the right direction.
So this is damson, but then that's cherry, and I mean clearly these have never been pruned.
And we have got a small healthy damson one through there.
That's damson there as well, which is producing, but is getting no sun. Yeah, it's all we can do, isn't it?
Start up the chainsaw.
Well, we have had a very nice and cool day up until maybe an hour or so ago, so I've just harvested some more. We've got the very last. I'm really trying my hardest with this broccoli, the very last of the broccoli. It's the last plant. And then some small courgettes. We have got some absolute monster marrows, which they're supposed to be monster marrows, hence the name, actual marrow plant, not just an overgrown courgette, that I'm going to be experimenting with as well. So I'm hoping to get those. We'll see when it's right to harvest them. Some of the courgettes are a little bit squishy just because that's how they've gone. So those will go to the pigs, but these are absolutely perfect for us. So we'll be using them for our meals, certainly in the coming weeks and tonight. So we're going to say thank you for watching and see you later.